Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you'll meet a legendary couple who maintains that talking is the most dangerous thing we can do. We'll explain next. We live in a very noisy world. It gets louder every single day, and it seems like everybody is talking and no one is listening. And that may be the number one cause of divorce. It's not any other issues inside the home. It's how they're dealing with those issues in the home. A couple who believes that strongly is my next couple, Dr. Harville Hendricks and Dr. Helen LeKelly Hunt, and they are good friends. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us. This is a great honor to be here.
Well, I have to tell you, I've known this couple for a decade when they first moved to Dallas, and I felt like I was sitting in the presence of two geniuses who had discovered the cure for relationship cancer and couldn't tell it to enough people. And nothing has changed in the last 10 years. You're still on this mission because one of the things that you say, Harville, is only 14% of people ever go to therapy.
Yes, right, only 14%. And only about 4% of those are couples. So if we did couples therapy all the time, we would never make any difference in the actual fabric of society because that just helps a few people feel better and do better, but it doesn't change the system they're in.
Yes. What happened was in our early years, Harville was lecturing about how humanity is longing for good relationships. And I proposed to him, and he wanted to get a book written, and we were in New York. And we moved to New York, and the book, Can't Love You Want, came out. And over time, because of Oprah interviewing Harville, 2,500 imago therapists throughout the world. And guess who is depressed? Harville. I said, why are you depressed? He said, only 14% of the population goes for therapy. Yeah. He said, Helen, you're a movement builder. Why don't we move back to Dallas and get a Dialogue Institute where dialogue is for everybody.
And you guys have written countless books. I think you're very proud of your latest book. We're going to put it up on the screen. Yeah. How to Talk with Anyone About Anything. Tell us about the book.
Well, this is a book that does not focus on intimate partnership, on couples. This is a book for everybody. We discovered after working with couples and they beginning to experiment with their children and with their relatives, and every now and then somebody would take it to the classroom or to a company, that dialogue was valuable in any conversation. So we decided one day, this is my depressive thing, that dialogue doesn't have to be limited to the couple's environment. It can be spread everywhere. So it's to teach dialogue to everyone. We have a modest goal, that's said with a bit of humor, of 2.4 billion people in the next 30 years. We'll create a tipping point. And tipping point, when you reach a tipping point in any system, the system then collapses and reorganizes itself in the direction that you were going. So we're hoping that in 30 years, dialogue will become the new way people talk.
And Helen, this could apply to any relationship,
yes.
a parent and a child.
Right. And our CEO recently created a Connecting Work program for corporations, as well as Connecting at Worship for a house of worship. And it's couples, families, everybody.
It's so powerful. Now, I want to brag a little bit about Harville because his official bio says he's been on Oprah 17 times, but it's actually 18. And you helped win Oprah her first Emmy Award.
Yes.
So you pretty much made Oprah. And she goes on record as saying you saved her relationship with Stedman. Mm-hmm. So let's roll this clip.
She does.
Hi, Super Solars. Welcome to the Best of the Oprah Show. Today, we're asking the question, what is it that keeps you from having a happy love life? There have been some fundamental moments on the Oprah Show that changed the course of what I believed you could do with television. Now, when I did this show that you're about to see with relationship expert Dr. Harville Hendricks, I had such a huge aha moment. It was big, big, and bigger. I can tell you this for sure. Stedman and I would not still be together had I not had Harville Hendricks on this show. Harville says that you end up drawing to yourself the person who brings up the wounds of your early childhood experience. And that is why that person is there to help you heal. That fundamental understanding changed the way I looked at my relationship with Stedman. And I'm hoping that this show will help all of you to recognize patterns that keep you repeating in the partners that you choose. And the beauty of this show is that it applies to everybody, whether you're married, divorced, single, looking. I try to teach this to my girls at school. You're going to attract the person who most reminds you and brings up the wounds of your past. If you know that going in, you look at the whole experience differently. This is powerful stuff. In this hour ahead, we're going to look at a relationship that is just ending and one that is just beginning and all the problems that happen in between. And guiding us through this hour is a man who has done really some incredible groundbreaking work with couples by helping to teach us to examine the patterns that we set up in our childhood. Now, once you get it, I'm telling you, it changes the way you look at the choices that you've made. Harville Hendricks is the author of Getting the Love You Want, and his book is Keeping the Love You Find. It's now out in paperback. He also has this great series of home videos for couples that you're going to be seeing throughout this program. So, we've learned a lot from you.
Thank you.
Learned a lot from you.
I've learned a lot from you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Indeed.
Now, one of the things I like about this is that there are a whole lot of cause and effects that you set up.
Yes.
One that concerns me is if you were abused as a child, you may pick an abusive partner or be an abuser yourself.
Yes. That's always the case. Whatever happens in childhood, whether it's mild or intense, there's something that's going to replicate itself in adulthood in an intimate partnership. Because the early childhood experience where there's a wound has to be repaired, and it always has to be repaired in a relationship in adulthood with somebody similar to your parents.
Now, can't you get over that, though? Because, see, I believe that all of my relationships in my 20s and early 30s I continued the abusive pattern that I'd set up in my childhood. Stedman is not an abusive person, so I think I've gotten over that.
Yeah, and that's the clue when you're saying that in the 20s and 30s you began to work on some things in yourself. That means, yes, you can get over it, but only if you work on it. And
because interestingly enough, Harville, as you know, I've said this to you, when I first started, dating Stedman, he was so kind to me, I thought something was wrong with him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He didn't fit the early patterns. He was supposed to be a more difficult person.
And also, it was a little boring at first.
And a little boring at
being
first.
treated so well.
You're supposed to get that old bad stuff.
I was so used to being treated badly that when somebody treated me well, it was like, okay, so now you think
But what's amazing is that you stayed with the process. That many times when people meet a person who can be constructive in their lives, but you had to work that through. Because often you throw that person away. They're too boring.
Meaning being treated well.
Being treated well, yeah. And you throw them away because they're boring, they're treating us well, we're not getting the drama we got in childhood, or we throw them away because we are getting the drama, because we are getting the hurts. So it sounds like you stayed through that process of going through the boredom. Thank you very much.
It's strange watching yourself on TV. Because it's not like you look at that every day. You were so brilliant even back then.
Yeah. From the very first moment. My first meeting, Harville, was in a garage of a Unitarian church. And we had never met, but church was empty on Saturday. And someone said, Helen, a guy is going to give a lecture on how to stay married. I'd like to go. Would you like to go? And I said, yeah. And so she dragged me there, and in came Harville, and I was shocked for it. Stage 1, romantic attraction. And then stage 2, everyone in stage 1 ends up in stage 2, the power struggle. But if you learn a few things in the power struggle, stage 3, real love.
And Helen, I think if I remember right, you asked Harville to marry you.
I did propose.
Yes, she did. Yes, she.
All right. Now, Oprah did not ignore you, Helen, because there was a later episode that included you.
I did not mind. I was so busy on women's philanthropy. I proposed. I said, Harville, there's not a publisher that I don't think is good, big enough in Dallas. Marry me. Let's go to New York. And I had started the Dallas Women's Foundation, and I moved to New York, the New York Women's Foundation, and that began women's philanthropy.
Now, we found a clip of you on the Oprah show. Let's go ahead and roll that.
Okay.
It's just starting out, but first take a look now at how Harville and his wife Helen resolved some of their conflicts. Take a look.
I sort of resented you for not being an extension of me.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, well, why can't he be relaxed if I'm a little late?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he can pick up a paper. He's always complaining he doesn't have time to read, and he could just flow with it. And I had to learn to first acknowledge that you were never going to flow with my being late.
Yeah.
Then second, really respect it and honor it. And now I think it's rather charming and dear.
And I won't flow with you being late.
Well, I think the most amazing thing about your story is you're these world-renowned thought leaders when it comes to couples therapy, and yet you guys were close to divorce.
Oh, yes. Yeah, twice. Yeah, we got the twice. And
which we love telling our other couples that it's not easy at first, but keep at it. And
yeah. Well, we're an example of you can know something and not do it, but the knowing of it doesn't make any difference unless you do it. So it is sort of and a little embarrassing, but also intriguing that we had written by the time we almost divorced, we'd written 3 bestsellers on relationships, having to do with being single and getting married, and one for parenting, and then the first one was for couples. But you have to do this stuff, and I somehow, as an academic, didn't make the transition from this is a concept that's accurate and works for everybody else, but I didn't apply it to myself. So consequently, our marriage began to disintegrate.
But Jeff, we also began to we went, this is wrong. Well, wait, maybe we should do it differently.
Yeah.
And so that's when we would throw away our divorce papers the 2 times. One was we make a commitment in a relationship not to tell someone what you don't like, but convert a frustration into a request. And have a dialogue about, I was upset when you did so-and-so, would you be willing to do that differently? What about so-and-so? And then dialogue about it and problem solve.
Well, one of my favorite clips, I've gone to numerous events that you've held, is this baby experiment. Do you want to set this up, Helen? Tell us about the baby experiment.
Well, it's basically Ed Tronick at Harvard University, and Harville always starts our weekend workshop with this show. People until recently believed our genes determine who we are. And Ed Tronick at Harvard University said, it's not just genes, it's relationships.
Yes. Okay, let's go ahead and roll the clip.
Babies this young are extremely responsive to the emotions and the reactivity and the social interaction that they get from the world around them. This is something that we started studying 30, 40 years ago, when people didn't think that infants could engage in social interaction. In the still face experiment, what the mother did was she sits down and she's playing with her baby, who's about a year of age.
I'm my girl. Oh.
And she gives a greeting to the baby gives a greeting back to her.
Yeah.
This baby starts pointing at different places in the world, and the mother's trying to engage her and play with her. They're working to coordinate their emotions and their intentions, what they want to do in the world. And that's really what the baby is used to. And then we ask the mother to not respond to the baby. The baby very quickly picks up on this, and then she uses all of her abilities to try and get the mother back. She smiles at the mother. She points because she's used to the mother looking where she points. The baby puts both hands up in front of her and says, what's happening here? She makes that screechy sound at the mother, like, come on, why aren't we doing this? Even in this 2 minutes, when they don't get the normal reaction, they react with negative emotions, they turn away, they feel the stress of it, they actually may lose control of their posture because of the stress that they're experiencing.
Okay. I'm here. And what are you doing? Oh, yes. Oh, what a big girl.
It's a little like the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is that normal stuff that goes on, that we all do with our kids. The bad is when something bad happens, but the infant can overcome it. After all, when you stop the still face, the mother and the baby start to play again. The ugly is when you don't give the child any chance to get back to the good. There's no reparation, and they're stuck in that really ugly situation.
And that image, I think, will stay with me forever. Harville, what's the takeaway there?
Well, this is it's about 45 seconds, I think, of the baby caretaker interaction. And we think this is the template of human experience, that for all of us, life starts out great, and then it all goes bad. And then we spend the rest of our lives trying to make it go great again, which you saw this baby do. They were in this, what we call resonant state of playing with each other. The mother only stops sending facial signals. It's just a still face. Mm-hmm. And the baby's anxiety is triggered by that, so that you see the baby do all of the human defenses. It tries to get the mother back by creating sounds. And at some point along the way, it's failing to do that, so the baby turns away and goes silent for a minute. And so at that time, that the caretaker re-engages the baby. And now you notice the baby's face has changed. Mm. And that delighted excitement is no longer there. There's relief and there's a smile, but it's no longer the joy of being. So we show this at all of our workshops because we think every human being goes through some version of this in their early childhood, and that's what accounts for our life trying to make something good happen. And we think nature is set up so that it tries to repair that in marriage. So we bring this unmet need that didn't get met by the caretaker in childhood to the intimate partnership to get it done. But most couples don't know that's what's going on. They don't know how to do it, so they don't succeed. We still have a 50% divorce rate. But if we could understand that you have to be seen, heard, and valued, yes, to feel safe. And when that doesn't happen, you saw what happened to the baby. The seen, heard, and valued was wonderful at the beginning. The mother stopped, created anxiety, and that forever imprinted that baby's memory. So much so that they don't do that research anymore with the babies having that setup rupture. So we think this is a template, but it also tells us what to do. We have to restore connection.
Yes.
And when we do that,
when you
get back into joy.
Sure. When you do your workshops, I know you have an exercise where the couple faces each other and one is actively listening, and then you even instruct them, make sure that your eyes are engaged.
LL, loving look, and be careful about
tone of voice.
VT, voice tone.
Yes.
And so we have little code words.
Yeah.
If I'm frustrated about something and I tell Harville, okay, where are we supposed to be now? And what are we, and, he can say VT or LL.
Yeah. So that exercise that
and I stop and I do it differently. So they're just little tiny things in a relationship, a marital relationship, but basically the sentence stems are for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's like any couple can learn this.
Any couple can learn this. It's an exercise. It's like learning to play tennis. It's a skill. Any couple can learn it. It's not rocket science at all, but they have to practice it. Practice it until it works. But it works for everybody who will do it. It's amazing. If you don't really do it, it doesn't work. Obviously, if you don't really hit the tennis ball right, it doesn't go over the net.
Right.
But if you actually listen, and part of it is listening without judging. Most of us are judging while we're listening. It's like, oh, you're not telling the truth. That's not the way it was.
Right.
We're running our own narrative. But you have to learn to listen without judging. So you receive the person, you get to know them, and they experience being heard. That does something to the partner. Then you switch places and you do that. And something begins then to happen in the brain at a fundamental level that begins to repair that anxiety that was triggered in childhood.
And at some of your workshops, I've heard people, because I would talk to them about their experience, and they'd say, we got more out of this in the last 3 hours than we did in a decade of couples therapy.
Yeah, and they do, because it's not about the problems couple have. You know, like we don't have enough sex, or what about money, or who's going to close the garage door. Those are all what we call symptoms of the lack of the absence of safety in the connecting process. And when you restore through the dialogue process, connecting, that creates safety. Then the problems, it was surprising to me years ago when we developed this, surprising, the problems went away. They were all functions of not being connected and communicating with this amount of safety.
You've made countless videos, so I encourage you to go to their YouTube page. I found one that you made about 3 years ago, and I love it. Let's go ahead and roll that.
Talking is the most dangerous thing most people do.
Everybody talks. We talk at home, we talk at work, we talk in our house of worship.
What we've discovered is hardly any of us know how to talk, which is the source of most of our problems.
Yeah. It's the best relationship book ever.
It explains it all.
It explains everything.
Everything.
It's constant neglect. And I'm learning from you how to hurt people.
So you know who's been the greatest teacher for me about what we're all looking for is Harville Hendricks.
For 40 years, Helen and I have been working on a singular question. Why do people fight?
We will teach you a process that will get you from conflict to connection.
Safe Conversations integrates the 3 lobes of the brain so that you can talk without criticizing.
So that people can listen without judgment.
So we can connect beyond our differences. What you will learn is a 3-step methodology that has transformed the lives of millions of people.
Yeah, I would not still be in relationship with Stedman had I not read that
Me
book.
neither. You could be an active participant in your partner's healing.
You will learn how to mirror, how to validate, and how to empathize.
And you will learn the use of sentence stems, which according to the neurosciences, helps rewire the brain.
Everyone deserves to be heard.
And Helen, you were making the point that when you do have a real dialogue, it changes the brain.
Yeah. Neuroscientists for decades didn't know about neuroplasticity, that the more there's a 2.4 pound organ in everyone's skull that's considered the most complicated organ in the universe. It's the brain. and people used to think it was just fixed and there was nothing that it would ever change. But maybe years ago, the brain scientists discovered neuroplasticity. And neuroplasticity is that the more you use a part of the brain, the stronger it becomes. So monologue is lower brain. This is how life should be. And if you don't think what I think, you're screwed up and you're going to destroy our relationship. And this is called monologue. But if you, to do the, and that's the lower brain, and to use the dialogue sentence stems is now a good time that I could have an appointment. And I think I heard you say yes and da-da-da. But you choose the dialogue sentence stems and you go to the neocortex. There's a left brain hemisphere, the right brain hemisphere, And between the two is the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, where you move beyond predication. You wonder, and it releases dopamine, acetylcholine, norepinephrine, and is a healthy neurochemical. Monologue is adrenaline and cortisol, and you don't sleep well at night, and you die younger.
Yes.
So you not only have we have a brain book on Kindle called The Crocodile Brain and the Wise Owl Brain.
You made a point there, and I want Harville to speak more about it, the importance of making an appointment to have a serious conversation.
Well, yes, and within the context, the importance of structure in intimate relationships. Yes. Everybody in intimate relationships want to have spontaneity.
Yeah.
But usually what you have when you go spontaneous is chaos. Right. So what we've learned is learn a structure. It's just like playing tennis.
Yeah.
If you want to play tennis, you have to train your arm until your brain hits the ball without your thinking about it. So it's the same process here. So if you have structure, then ultimately there will become order and cohesion. And one of the most important ways to start this is whenever you want to have a conversation with your partner, say, it's now a good time to talk about, and tell them what the topic is, our budget, our sexuality, or whatever's going on. And the reason you want to do the appointment is that if you don't, you woke up expecting their brain is just sitting there empty, waiting for your input. No, it's not. It's running its own story. It's running its own narrative. And you want to ask them if they'd be willing to turn off their show and listen to yours for a minute, or make an appointment to when they will turn off the show so we can talk. Now your brain is fully available. Couples then really connect, and they don't go through a rupture at the beginning of a conversation.
Yes.
It's very important to start every conversation with, is now a good time to talk with you about that. I make that a point. Every time I walk into the room, say to Helen, are you available for a question? And she can say, well, I'm on the phone. Well, that's not a good time for a question. So right. I walk away.
I love it that you're practicing what you preach. And it truly is the key to a healthy
after
marriage.
2 trips down the horse lane, it's a good lesson to learn.
Yeah.
I want to bring it back to the book. Let's put the book cover back on the screen. Harville and Helen, why should somebody get this? You made the point that it affects every kind of relationship. It could be a boss and employee.
Yes. Anyone and everyone should buy this book because it will teach you how to talk with anybody about anything. And what we mean by that is that it's talking without criticizing and judging, listening without judging, so you can connect beyond your differences. And the reason that's important is that difference is built into nature. There's no such thing as sameness.
Yes.
So difference is everywhere, but all of us object to difference. We want it to be the way we think it should be, which is the way it is for us. So if you learn how to talk, then you get it. Everybody has their own world. Then you learn to appreciate that world and accept that world. Then you collaborate. And if you don't accept the other person's world, then you polarize. Polarization is the basis of conflict, anger, aggression, ultimately of war. So this is a process that can actually lead all of civilization if we would bring it together into collaboration, and then we can live at peace and study war no more.
You make such an amazing couple. I am blessed to call you my friends.
Oh, thank you.
We're going to end with the website, which is quantumconnections.com. The great Harville and Helen. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yes.
Thank you for having us.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.